How you been, man?
Good, man. I was feeling rich and then poor again this morning, you know. But I bought the dip. Did you buy the dip?
No, I'm already balls deep.
Yeah, I know. I was telling Danny I can't say the strategy on the podcast, but
Just
I was doing
say it.
No, I'm not going to. But I was doing something I probably shouldn't have been doing to be like even beyond 100% Bitcoin. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you've said it there without saying it, so why don't you just share and say it's a bad idea for anyone else?
It is a fucking bad idea. Never take leverage. But yeah.
But I
felt compelled to stack the dip, you know.
Look, I think if you're new to Bitcoin and you're doing your first few trades, you should not do leverage.
Yeah.
But if you've got a decent stack, you can have a play. You can take.
I would say blanket advice should be never take leverage ever.
Well,
right?
There's different types of leverage. So I did it. I remember 2021. There was a dip when Bitcoin dipped to like 17.5 grand. I went onto my bank.
Yeah.
And what's the biggest loan I could take out? It was £35,000.
Yeah.
And I got 2.4 Bitcoin. And
Wait,
so,
was that in 21 or 22? 22.
21, whatever the price was around that.
When at the bear market bottom?
No, on the way up.
Oh, on the way up.
Yeah, it was on the way up. It dipped back down. I was I know it's going further. So I borrowed against it. I got 2.4 Bitcoin or whatever. So what's that now in pounds? Like, I don't know, 125,000.
Yeah.
So that trade was worth it. With interest, I'm paying back, 40,000.
Yeah.
Done. That's a leverage trade.
No, of course. Yeah. Anytime you're taking a personal loan, it's definitely leverage. Yeah.
But I could afford to get wiped out on that one. I thought I was right. Like
if you're gonna do it, you should do it with like a very small percentage of your portfolio.
And high conviction.
High conviction, and you should, you're timing it, right? So like the timing has to be good in order for you to do it. One of the things that's interesting about like MicroStrategy, right? You can own that. It's got leverage for you, but you're not getting margin called, right? Now they might on their convertible debt offerings. I mean, they're not going to get margin called. That's not the way their debt offerings work. But they might run into issues with their debt and their leverage, right? But that's for them to deal with, and they're professional managers for that. So it's like, I don't know. For me, like I own a little bit of that, but it's not like a giant position. Everybody was just recently talking about this on Twitter, like MSTR versus Bitcoin, right? It's like such a stupid framing. It's like I looked at my my total portfolio allocation, which is under 3%. It's like 2.5%, right? And the only reason I even have MSTR is because my wife had this 401k that had like $68,000 in it or something, and they wouldn't let me buy GBTC. So I was just like, fuck, I'm just going to YOLO it all into MSTR. And I just grabbed my wife's phone. I was like, hey, you still have that stupid 401k? And she was like, yeah. I was like, okay, give me your fucking phone. Like, it's all going into MSTR. And I did that back, right around the time Michael Saylor first announced the strategy. And so it's like, that position is just, it's good. And I'm just going to hold it for a while now.
Do you think he's going to do a stock split?
Yeah, definitely. Probably when it reaches around the all-time high. The MicroStrategy all-time high, which I think
$3,000.
It's like 3,000-ish, yeah.
From 2000.
Yeah. Dude, the MicroStrategy chart is like, it's fucking crazy. It's in 2000 .com bubble, just all the way to the top, and then nothing. And then, Bitcoin bubble, all the way to the top. And yeah, man, I'm rooting on Michael Saylor. It's funny because I was telling somebody the other day, it's like, I'm low-key like proud of Michael Saylor. Even though he's the richest person I've ever met, probably. And, but it's like, still, he's kind of like a noob, to those of us who've been around, right? So it's like.
Well, he's YOLO'd. It's like a Hail Mary to become the richest guy in the world.
Yes, 100%.
And he probably will do it, if not top 5.
I think he's going to do it.
Yeah.
I was talking the other day about, are there going to be copycats of his strategy? And how many copycats can there be? And are people going to actually implement the MSTR strategy with the same amount of conviction? And I think the only people that can even do it are companies that are above him in the FANG. So like Apple could do it if they want to, right? But they don't want to. And they have so much political risk and so much execution risk, and it's not part of their core business, and it looks like they're distracted. And there's a million reasons why he's in this sort of like Goldilocks zone where he's at the perfect size to tap the debt markets and then buy more Bitcoin. But he's still, he's large enough to do that, but he's still small enough to move nimbly. And he can, sort of just keep climbing his way up the charts.
I'm surprised more haven't done it because you tend to mix in circles of similar people. And I'm surprised he hasn't got like some buddies with similar sized companies that are like, okay, tell me how to do this.
I know, right? I mean, probably a lot of people are doing it personally based on Michael Saylor, right? There's a rumor going around that, or not a rumor, but Saylor is on Bezos' yacht, right? And so a bunch of people are like speculating about would they talk about what happened, et cetera. I personally have heard from other OGs that Bezos owns Bitcoin, but predating Michael Saylor.
Okay.
So that he's had a Bitcoin position for a while. Now, this is like rumor and speculation, but it would make sense because, he's a game player. He understands Metcalfe's law and like he saw it early. And, what's it to him to get it like an insurance position on Bitcoin?
Yeah, Danny's pitch is that Zuckerberg's going to be one of the big players of the next cycle.
Dude, we are 100% in agreement on that.
He's going down this like based little storyline in his own life, and I think this is going to be like a big part of the next few years. And I'm sure he already owns it. Like he has a goat called Bitcoin, right?
Yes.
There's two, but the other one's called Maxi.
One is called Max. One is called Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And if you think about Zuckerberg and his incentives, right? The Winklevoss twins won $60 some odd million from him in that lawsuit.
Yeah.
And then they used a lot of the proceeds from that to buy Bitcoin. Zuckerberg is not like, this friendly nerd technologist dude. Zuckerberg is like a Rockefeller of the 21st century.
He has vendettas.
He's a savage, and he's not going to allow the fucking Winklevi twins to own more Bitcoin than him. So if it was my guess, I bet you he ons more than them already.
Yeah.
But just he's so rich, he doesn't need to brag about it or talk about it, or it's just there in the background somewhere in his bunker in fucking Maui or wherever.
Well,
I also think he has like I'm sure their corporate structure is really confusing, but he has like dictatorial power over Meta.
He does.
Yes.
And I think that's a reason like he might be able to leverage that within their company as well.
It's very similar to Michael Saylor, right? Like they anointed him king. He was like the founder that they anointed king early on, Peter Thiel and the rest of those guys. So like, Meta is an interesting one. And he has shown that he will bet the company on big things. Like, the rebrand to Meta is a big deal, like the VR thing. And it seems like he's more and more right on that, bet, but they are expending a lot of capital on it. So like, I don't know, maybe Bitcoin is a way to fill the gap there or something.
VR is one of those weird things where I just still don't think there really is a market for it. Like we've all had a chance to play with it. And
I've actually never used a VR headset.
So you never put one on?
No. So I've got a Quest. I upgraded to the new one, and I use it once or twice a month. And it's the only thing I do is the boxing game.
Cardio. Yeah.
Have you done the boxing game?
Yes. Yeah.
And or if it's somebody new, I'd get them to do the walk the plank because that freaks your head out.
Yeah.
But it's a really good cardio workout. But once or twice a month's enough. That's why I think that ultimately this Apple headset's going to be a failure.
People that think it's going to replace like this are just tripping. Like I don't see how that happens.
Maybe like 15 years from now or something, right? It is weird that fitness apps are like the killer app of VR. That was non-intuitive to me. I didn't, but that's true. Like sometimes I'll put it on for like cardio or whatever.
Yeah.
And the boxing game, you're like legitimately sweaty.
Oh, you're fucked.
And your heart rate is jacked when you get off of it.
Like it's hard. Like what's it?
And you feel like someone is really trying to fucking punch you in the face.
Yeah.
Like,
how do you get past feeling like a fucking idiot doing it though?
Oh no!
My wife will like take pictures of me while I'm doing it, and then I really feel stupid.
Yeah, I have to say the kids do it with me, but like you kind of do when no one's around.
Yeah.
But I haven't, admittedly, like I would usually buy anything Apple. I haven't bought the headset. I'm not gonna buy it.
I'm not gonna buy it either.
Because it's like I'll buy the Quest because it's like $300 to test it out and it gets used. I'm not going to spend $3,500 to test something and have a wire coming out of the back.
You know what I'm going to do? I have a trip to go see you guys in London, right? Or in Bedford, sorry. And I'm going to buy one, use it on the fucking long ass plane ride, and then return it when I get home. I hope I'm not like saying this on the podcast doesn't negate the terms of sale or something. But
no.
That's actually a good idea.
Plan.
That's the one time where I think I would use one of the Apple ones because you can make it like a cinema screen on the plane, right?
Yeah,
that sounds quite cool.
Exactly. Get like a movie theater on the plane.
I don't think it's worth it.
Yeah, it's not worth it.
It's not worth it.
How'd you feel about coming to Bedford? Thank you, by the way.
Dude, it's going to be fun, man. I'm excited about it.
Long way from home.
Yeah, I know. All the way across the pond,
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, because you asked me to like give the opening in Bedford. The keynote. And I was like, should I be soft and demure and British in demeanor? Or should I just show up as a typical brash American? You know what I mean? Which is better for the audience?
You,
man.
Well, but there are two U's. There's American HODL and Serious HODL.
That's right. I got the glasses on today.
It's a bit like Eminem and Slim Shady, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes he's Eminem, sometimes he's Slim Shady. Like even on Twitter, like sometimes I ask Serious HODL. And then sometimes you go full DJ and I'm like, nah, it's American HODL.
Dude, I can feel the Slim Shady wanting to come back during the bull market. It's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Don't want to stay humble right now.
It's very hard to stay. You know what's this is hilarious. So like some of these guys, Gareth Soloway is one of the guys, and then there's
is that the short guy?
The guy, he's the guy with the top knot. And
he's the guy
that's
been shorting it.
Yeah. And he's been shorting. Yeah, he's been shorting Bitcoin the whole time. But I honestly feel like, as Bitcoiners, we used to have these like actually fierce intellectual adversaries. Say whatever you want about it, like Krugman and Rabini and Taleb and these guys, but they're actually kind of fierce adversaries. They're smart guys. This feels like Bitcoin has won so hard that we're going around just shooting survivors and just beating up anyone who doesn't agree with it. It's actually like ungentlemanly the way we've been conducting ourselves recently,
Yeah, oh, fuck them. I mean, they got Black Swan guy. I think he's engagement farming though.
Oh yeah, I've not really seen much of him.
Wait, which guy is that guy?
Black Swan. He calls himself Black Swan.
I don't think I saw that guy.
Yeah, he hasn't shut up. And then obviously Schiff hasn't shut up again, but he hasn't shut up for 10 years, 12 years. Fucking idiot. No, it's going to be good to get you to Bedford, man.
Yeah, man. I'm excited.
You can be in Europe.
I heard you were telling me Bedford is like very poor.
No, it's not very poor. It's got, I think like.
The reaction I get from other Brits, by the way, is I'm going to go to Bedford. And they're like, where the fuck is that? What the fuck is that?
It's a nothing town. There's no reason really to visit Bedford.
Yeah.
But that's why I called it like cheat code, because
right.
I've used that for the town. But no, look, when you come, there's some nice bits. So you walk down the river, you'll see people rowing, you'll see the leaves, and you'll go to the pub and have a pint, and it's lovely. But there's certain places, if you walk down the high street where the shops are, you're going to see clothes shops and kebab shops and bedding shops. It's not great.
It's very just like middle of the road standard English town.
Yeah. But it sounds like small town America, really. Yeah.
And but it has, there's a lot of people who are deprived. There's kids living in poverty. Like, it has its issues. I mean, the football club has a hardship fund. So any kid who wants to play football, if their parents can't afford the fees, we just pay for it.
Right.
And so, things like that. One of the things we've talked about we're going to do is we think the event's going to be profitable. So we're going to take a chunk of the profits, say 25 grand, and we're going to offer grants to people in Bedford who want to do anything. It'll be a Bitcoin grant, but it doesn't have to be a Bitcoin project. If you're a kid who's a good athlete and you want to go and compete in an event in Spain, we'll pay for it. Or if you're an artist, or if you want to open a coffee shop, like, we're just going to provide grants to the town.
Yeah.
And if we can keep growing the event, we can just increase the grants to the town.
When do you just straight up become the mayor of Bedford?
Well, so that's a funny thing.
Because I saw the local township was like fucking with you, right?
Yeah, fuck them.
What is that? Just small town politics and stuff?
Small town politics, mates.
People have their own fiefdom and
local aristocracy and stuff. But I was thinking about this because a lot of people say go for it, and I could, but I think it could be a demanding job. And I think you can get stuck, like the decisions you will want to make, which is basically cut costs, stop wasting money, stop giving people money who don't need it, focus on what is required. You'll end up having a lot of people just dislike you because they're so tied to this current system of voting to have money given to them. That's what Breedlove said. And so I was like, could you be the unofficial mayor of Bedford and just do good stuff that the mayor can't do?
Yeah.
With private capital, with events. Could you have more and better influence that way? I don't know.
I think you're hitting on something important that, Balaji has talked about, which is Bitcoiners need to start sort of offering more to their local communities than they're getting from the state, right?
Yeah.
Because essentially, think about it like this. It's like the state is trying to bribe people into compliance. That's what they're doing. That's what, all the money that was printed during COVID that on the fiscal side that went to average everyday Americans. These new migrants that we have in America who are getting prepaid cell phones and hotels and bus fare and food and et cetera. They're essentially kind of being bribed to vote for the Democratic Party here, who are the ones who are, letting them in through the back door, right? Or through the front door, because the whole southern border is just wide open, right? So you think about that in terms of like community organization. Let's say that we're all right and Bitcoin goes to fucking, hundreds of millions of dollars. Like hyperinflation occurs. The dollar is basically worthless. The pitchforks are going to come out for Bitcoiners, right? I mean, people do not want, we all know how hard it was because we've been here for a long time. But the narrative will be that we sat on our ass and we did fucking nothing and we got rich magically, right? And that it was just, why should we be able to keep it, And people will literally want to kill you. That will make them murderous. So one way to, sort of guard against this and also do good for others, because we've been having a fun time like laughing about, have fun staying poor and choose rich, all this shit. And what that really is it's not us gloating. It's really us trying to say, hey, we really wish you would like take this seriously. You guys have been ignoring us for a long time. You're not taking it very seriously. We really wish you would just care about yourself, care about your own life, care about your future. Why do we care about you more than you care about you, right? And so what I'm saying is like, those things are just memes. And the real truth is that Bitcoiners are going to have like sort of a response, in my opinion, by the way. Everybody, Bitcoin is like, it's like herding cats trying to get Bitcoiners to agree. But in my opinion, I think we have a responsibility to the world to use our wealth in a way that's meaningful, right?
Couldn't agree more. I mean, everybody knows I'm from Bedford, right? I have tried to put that town on the map and try and change it. And my focus, like as Bitcoin goes up, there becomes diminishing returns from traveling the world doing a podcast in terms of time. I'm 45, right? And so where do I want to apply my time? Well, like I want to apply it in my hometown. And if I have my own growing capital or access to people with capital, because like we know people who are going to be insanely rich.
Yeah.
And so if I can get some of their capital into my town and rebuild businesses, rebuild the high street, build opportunities, that's my focus. And
100%.
I think a lot of Bitcoiners are like that. They are actually quite generous, Bitcoiners.
Well, after, you're doing well in life, right? Your podcast is successful and the Bitcoin price is going up and like things are good, right? Fucking a fraudster tried to bankrupt you, but other than that, things are good, right? And as you get richer in life, you find out that like we're in a very nice hotel suite here. This is like one of the nicest suites in Las Vegas where we are. And
stay humble.
Well, I mean, look around. I mean, it's crazy. But yeah, I mean, as you get richer, you find out that stuff like this, it's nice. It's nice to be in the nice suite, but it really doesn't matter. It doesn't move the needle on your satisfaction or overall quality of life. Like really going to the pub with your mates and having a couple of beers. And what does that cost? It costs £50 or whatever.
Yeah.
That's the only thing in life that actually matters is spending time with good people, like going out to dinner with good people, hanging out, doing things in your community. And so in a way, like the wealth that we have is really, think about it in this manner. Like Satoshi is sort of this new Greek character, right? Where, he has this insane, inordinate, vast sum of wealth. And will, as Bitcoin goes, higher and higher, he's going to have more money than anybody, way more money than Michael Saylor, right? And presuming he's still alive, he's caught in this, basically this trap where he can't spend his wealth, right? And so I think of him as sort of a tragic character in that regard, if he's alive. But for the rest of us, I think it's a call to be more Satoshian in ethos, which is like a lot of this wealth is the direct result of like accident. We were born at the right time. And yeah, we were really smart and we took advantage of it, but we're lucky. If Bitcoin's a 1,000-year system, most of the people who will use Bitcoin they never had any access to it. They never got the ability to buy it. And people are like, oh, tough shit. My family will rule over yours. This is like Bitcoin feudalism or whatever. But I think that we have a responsibility to the world to allocate the capital appropriately where it needs to go. And if we can't find the appropriate, capital allocation in our lifetime to pass the sats into the future, like if you think about the way evolution works, evolution wants you to lodge your genes as far into the future as you possibly can. And I think in a Bitcoin sense, Bitcoin is this evolutionary digital system that wants you to lodge your Bitcoin as far into the future as you possibly can.
Look, I couldn't agree more. I actually think about Satoshi a lot in terms of if he's alive. Like, is he
I think
happy?
he is.
Yeah. So if he is he happy? Is he proud?
Yeah.
Is he disappointed? Are there times where he's like, shit, I really need to chime in here?
Yeah.
Like I think about that a lot, but he isn't. He's given us this gift, and I think we need to be very careful with them, foster it. It's like the mechanic interview yesterday, right? Which is leading me to the things I want to talk to you about. And I put out a tweet that maybe triggered a few people this morning on the back of that.
I didn't see it, but
well, let me read it to you.
Yeah, sure.
Because I've gone back and forth on a few things, but the truth is, I think about when I launched the podcast. It was a crypto podcast. It wasn't a Bitcoin. It's cool what Bitcoin did, but I cover shitcoins. And eventually I went to Bitcoin and I put my whole stack in Bitcoin because the question was, of all these cryptocurrencies, which am I using for what reason? And I only came back to Bitcoin. It's the only one I used. By
the way, I used to actually listen when it was a crypto podcast.
There you go.
Just because I could tell that you were on your way out because you were asking inquisitive questions of these people and they were giving back wholly unsatisfactory answers.
It was Shinobi bullying me.
Yeah.
So
that doesn't sound like the Shinobi I know.
But so so I questioned like which do I use and why?
Yeah.
And there was an argument for stablecoins, but I never actually did use them. The first time I used a stablecoin was when I needed Tether in Argentina. So I didn't really use them. I just used Bitcoin. And so anyway, I've been thinking a lot about this recently. So I wrote this morning on the back of the interview. I want Bitcoin to do 3 things well: send, receive, store. Personally, I'm only interested in development which ensures Bitcoin does these 3 things better, faster, and more securely while maintaining maximum decentralization. All other use cases represent a grift on the Bitcoin system from privileged people who don't prioritize these 3 things highly enough. So many people have worked so hard over the last 15 years to get Bitcoin where it is, battles against so many powerful forces, yet Bitcoin survived. Now we're degrading the Bitcoin system for non-monetary use cases. So that's my pitch, right?
Yeah.
In that, I'm here for money. So the conversation we've just had now about how do I help my town and how do other people help their towns and how do we help countries, to me, it's all about Bitcoin as money. And if somebody hadn't have found this hack a year ago because of Taproot that they could, put like much more arbitrary data in the blockchain, we would still just be focused on Bitcoin as money.
Well, I think we are. I mean, well, but Bitcoin as money is 99.9% of what's going on.
Sure.
And even the ordinals guys, in my opinion, are monetary maxis who want more Bitcoin. That's what they are.
Oh, I agree with that. But what I worry about is certain people with influence start to try and direct the future of Bitcoin development in a way that suits what they want to do with ordinals, and we have these unknown consequences that degrade Bitcoin even more as money. So I'm just very militant about this now. Like, go and do what you want. If you can convert Bitcoin into being something else, that's you. I have zero interest. I have an interest in Bitcoin as money, and that's it.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
No, I think that's totally fine. That's where I'm at. I mean, I don't own any ordinals. I'm not interested in ordinals or BRC20s or any of that shit. It does seem like, one of the hot topics of conversation I hear at ETH Denver, obviously I wasn't at ETH Denver, is that, a lot of people are talking about how they can switch their protocol, their project to be a Bitcoin layer 2, air quotes layer 2. And here's the problem with, trying to gatekeep Bitcoin as an open, permissionless monetary network is that Bitcoin is an open, permissionless monetary network. It's fucking retarded. It's like standing in front of the ocean and being like, no one go in, and everyone just goes right around you. Like you can't gatekeep it, right? So that's the thing that's really tricky about it and difficult about it. So, sure, yes, we should be entirely focused on Bitcoin as money because Bitcoin is money, right? But if there are, I don't know, it's the conversation is really, do you throw the baby out with the bathwater? Like if there are extreme proposals to, by the way, and the ordinal thing, I'm totally like neutral, or like I just don't expend any time and energy thinking about it usually. But in my opinion, I just don't want any solutions that cause unknown unknowns, like irreparable harm to Bitcoin, in order to deal with something that people just largely don't like, but is not a critical vulnerability to Bitcoin. Now, some people would argue and say it is a critical vulnerability. I haven't seen that. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
So you think there are... Yeah, so you're seeing it the other way. See, I've seen the unknown unknowns for people who want to increase the utility of Bitcoin outside of money, and you think there may be unknown unknowns from trying to prevent that.
Yes. Yeah. The fix could be as bad as the problem or worse. And so for me, I'm still in just a wait and see kind of modality surrounding it,
Yeah. Do you think...
Because has ordinals interrupted your ability to use Bitcoin in any way, shape, or form? Because to me, it has not.
No, but I'm from a privileged place in Bitcoin that I have a meaningful amount, not super wealthy, but like enough. But I know people where it has degraded their experience.
Their experience on chain, if you're like an El Salvadorian like coffee shop owner, right? And through Lightning if they can't open or close channels. I think that's true. But if we look at the system as a whole and not look at any one anecdotal use case, we're going to see that over time fees simply must rise.
No, of course,
in order to keep the system secure and safe.
It was more just it came out of nowhere. It was a sudden shock. There was a sudden massive increase in fees. And there are people, I think, spamming the blockchain for fun.
Yeah,
you know. attacking it.
They're paying for the right to do that, though.
Of course.
And in paying, they're helping secure the Bitcoin network as a whole.
I think the Bitcoin network was secure enough pre-ordinals.
It can always be more secure, in my opinion.
When's it secure enough? I think we went past the point of fear about enough security a few years back.
What if, I mean, again, like, what if we get into a situation where Bitcoin is not money, but it's just digital gold for some long stretch of time? Let's say Bitcoin exists as largely digital gold for 50 years, okay? Just as a hypothetical. I don't think that's going to happen, but just as a hypothetical. And then basically we none of the UTXOs are moving on chain because nobody needs to move them, right? Or they're moving very infrequently. And so the fees are really not there in order to, secure the network, right? But what if, in that scenario, like these non-monetary use cases are, just an extra fee revenue for the miners, and that underlines the security of the network, I mean, it's really hard to think through some of these unknown unknowns because it's like second, third, fourth, fifth order consequences for things.
And things change so quickly. Like every cycle's different. I think it's hard to plan 50 years out.
Yeah. For me, though, I've also learned, like, I've been here a long time. I've gotten really hot and bothered about a lot of different topics inside of Bitcoin. And I've learned when I look back, like most of the time I was being stupid because I have a partial understanding of Bitcoin.
We might end up at a point where we have altruistic security.
Yeah, you could, right? I mean, that's like, I've heard Safety make that argument before, which is like, Bitcoin is super valuable. And so people will want to secure it no matter what, which I agree with as well.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot of different ways that it can play out.
Yeah. The interesting thing about that tweet, though, I wasn't saying like it shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
And I wasn't saying don't do this. I was saying this is from my perspective. So this is the only thing I'm kind of interested in.
Yeah.
I think it's always hard though when you start putting your worldview onto Bitcoin. Like just what Bitcoin is for you doesn't mean that's what Bitcoin should be for everyone.
But Bitcoin is the aggregate of all our worldviews. So we all have to put our worldviews. That's what social consensus is, right?
But I don't know if it's the aggregate of all our worldviews or if it's we
weighted to who you are.
Well, I think probably what's happening is something more like we are sticking our worldviews to Bitcoin, and the ones that are past the test become strengthened, and the ones that don't get rejected. So like every world culture is going to interact with Bitcoin in some different way, and some of these cultures are going to be better than others. I don't believe in like cultural relativism. Like some cultures outcompete, and so the most dominant culture will outcompete inside of Bitcoin as well, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I think largely that's monetary maximalism. Like monetary maximalism has been dominant, is still dominant. We'll see if that changes going forward. I mean, this might age like milk because like everybody and their mother is launching a shitcoin on Bitcoin during the top of the bull run, right? But where I'm at now is I want to take a wait and see approach. And by the way, this is a very American ethos too, which it's like freedom is me letting you do things I don't like. Freedom is me letting you say things I don't like and not trying to interfere with your ability to do or say them as long as they don't harm other people. But then, obviously the whole argument is like Bitcoin is the commons and you're harming the commons and then we get into the whole thing.
But my freedom is to disagree.
Yes.
And I just think it's more of a case of there's a lot of people putting stakes in the ground now for ordinals.
Mm-hmm.
And they're putting stakes in the ground with opinions, investments, how they're structuring events and conferences. There's a lot of stakes in the ground for ordinals. I'm putting the stake in the ground as a
anti-ordinals,
as a podcast host, saying I'm focused on money because I see all the things that having money solves. Or one, having good money as an individual or a nation, but then having a basket of wealth that you can do things with.
Yeah.
And so I'm just putting my stake in the ground saying that's what I'm interested in. I would never make a show about quantum cats.
Right.
And that's never going to happen on our podcast. But we will make a show about ordinals and I would express why I don't like them and why I've got no interest. But it's just a stake in the ground.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of ordinal stakes in the ground now. And there's people who put stakes in the ground from the monetary side and they're getting called like Bitcoin boomers. I got called Bitcoin Amish this morning by Zach Voll. So I'm just putting my stake in the ground saying that's
Bitcoin Quaker, Bitcoin Puritan.
And so we have this kind of like social consensus that builds up about all these opinions.
Right.
And so I'm just adding mine in there. I'm saying this is what I care about.
Yeah, I think what I'm saying is I'm not adding my opinion in. I'm explicitly staying neutral. And it's not because I I don't care about either side being mad at me or whatever. That's not what it is. Like, I just don't know what the right answer is, and I think I don't want to add to the discourse if I don't know. You know.
Yeah,
and it's just sometimes I think it's good in Bitcoin to take a wait and see approach with things, and people are like, okay, well, we've seen ordinals for a year, and it's like, okay, well, I still haven't formed any strong conclusions. You have apparently, but I still can't come to. Danny, what do you think? Where are you
at? So I've always been very like passive with it, like you, just kind of wait and see. I think they're fee-paying transactions. I don't think I would call it spam. Mechanic kind of, he landed a point with me yesterday when he was talking about how it may influence development on Bitcoin. And that's quite interesting because I think if we end up pushing development that is benefiting them and not like the monetary use case, that would be an issue. But I'm yet to see that. So I'm kind of like you, I'm willing to wait and see what happens.
Here's a question. Which benefits Wall Street more? No changes to Bitcoin or lots of changes to Bitcoin?
No, obviously no changes.
No changes until they want to change.
Right.
Or no change till the right influence says, tap, tap, Larry Fink, we want to do this.
So that's the development risk that I'm worried about. You know, yes. It seems like the ordinals and anti-ordinals camp are at a pretty healthy stalemate, by the way. You guys might not know this because, you know, you're not Americans, but we say in America when our government is not functioning, that's when it's the best, right? Because it can't get together and fuck us. So when they're at a total stalemate and it's gridlock in Congress, we're like, yes, this is great. Keep doing nothing. We appreciate you, you know? And I think that might be true of Bitcoin development, although I'm not 100% sure on that. But again, that's at a stalemate right now, in my opinion. What I'm worried about is the Wall Street guys. I'm worried that they are going to have a lot more influence and a lot more money and a lot more power, and they also are, you know, geared up with Congress, and they're geared up with, you know, the Washington D.C. like the financial lobby. You know, is a very powerful lobby, financial services, and so basically, like, I'm worried we might get into this world in which all non TradFi Bitcoin is deemed like haram, and basically like you're forced to jump through these series of hoops where you're constantly audited and there's ever increasing reporting requirement, and it's not strictly illegal, but yeah, you're audited up the ass. There's constant reporting requirements. You have to comply with these FATFA guidelines if you're a node operator, et cetera. Or that's the stick, right? And then the carrot is, or you can put your money over here with BlackRock. And oh, by the way, we have the ability to margin your Bitcoin. So you can run a buy, borrow, die strategy, just like the fancy rich people you admire, you know? And you never have to sell your Bitcoin. You can buy your mansion, Peter. I mean, that's a pretty nice carrot. And that's a pretty bad stick. So that's the thing I'm worried about. We're in the middle of it, you know?
I think that's almost bound to happen. But I think that's a little bit of a different risk. Like, that's a regulatory risk, not a development risk.
Well, it could metastasize into being a development risk, is what I'm saying. Because these guys are so powerful, you know?
Yeah, so this is kind of the structure of the notes I put together for this. I really want to get into it with you because there is a Bitcoin culture, right?
Yes. There's many, but there's a dominant one.
There's a dominant, but that culture comes from going down the rabbit hole where if you buy in Bitcoin, you have to learn about Bitcoin, and you have to learn about holding Bitcoin and storing Bitcoin. You have to learn about XPubs. Like, there's all this shit you have to learn about, right?
Did you finally learn XPubs?
Yeah, I knew what an XPub was all along.
All along?
Well, pretty much. Pretty much. The first time I said I don't. By the way, I still like hold my position. Most people don't and won't care. But anyway, there is like a culture of like understanding Bitcoin to an extent you haven't traditionally tried to understand money.
Yeah.
Totally. And that's created a number of kind of like conservative people in Bitcoin. And those who are buying Bitcoin via ETFs, they're like kind of leapfrogging a number of those steps.
Yes.
And they're not incentivized to learn about all these things.
Yeah.
So they're just less conservative about Bitcoin. Yeah, in a lot of their minds, they're probably still thinking about entry and exit price, where we're thinking never sell. That as a cohort of people could vastly outweigh the original kind of hardcore Bitcoiners.
It will.
Yeah. It will. And so the analogy I kind of gave Danny, unfortunately he's never seen the film, is Zulu.
Yeah.
I feel like Zulu, we're the like 200 people with the guns or whatever the number was, and we're surrounded by people wanting to attack it.
Yeah.
And I think it's important that we maintain some very strong principles. And the reason this is coming to my mind at the moment is like we talk to a lot of people there are people in the development side of Bitcoin who are kind of a bit frustrated. They think the old guard are moving too slowly and holding things back. Whereas I look at the old guard and I think, you went through the block size wars. You've been through so much shit. You've seen these unintended consequences. You don't want to just move slow and not break things. You want to move very slowly and ensure we don't break things. Because like Austin Hill said, it's a bit like sending someone to the moon. You can't have a mistake because you kill everyone on the rocket.
I mean,
so you can't have this with Bitcoin. So I'm thinking a lot about, how do you maintain that strong development culture? Not to fuck this up when you've got an increasing number of people who are ambivalent about the important principles of Bitcoin.
Yeah, you have to maintain adversarial thinking throughout, right? And I think Bitcoin's engineering culture takes its roots from civil engineering culture, where you have to be extremely adversarial when you're sitting at the planning meeting for a bridge, because if the bridge collapses, you're going to kill a lot of fucking people, or skyscraper, or whatever it is, right? And the ultimate form or expression of that is something like the International Space Station, which you want to add a new module to the International Space Station. That's cool. We can do that. But it's got to be really vetted, really, really, really vetted. It cannot be something you thought up last week. It has to be gone over and tested, and et cetera. And I think of Bitcoin, development. If Bitcoin's going to be the world's money, then it is as important, if not 100x more important, than something like the International Space Station.
Yeah.
And it is an international project. So we're all speaking in different languages, trying to get together on like what this thing is. We don't know. Like we focus a lot on the American and the British core developers, but like there are core developers from all over the world, right? Uh-huh. And so I look at that and I think to myself, like, yeah, it's the number one heuristic when we're thinking about Bitcoin development is don't fuck it up.
Yeah,
we already have something that's working really well, and I'm not a Luddite who says we should ossify tomorrow. But we should be extremely cautious when it comes to Bitcoin upgrades. Extremely, extremely cautious, No,
I know. I mean, I feel exactly the same.
Yeah.
And I just worry that if you look at the culture of ordinals and NFTs, they're like a slightly more conservative version of all the shitcoinery that we had on Ethereum, right?
Marginal. Ever so slightly.
Yeah, marginal.
Ever so slightly.
Yeah, marginal. But Ethereum was very much a move fast, break things. We don't give a fuck. We'll change the rules constantly. And what
happened to them, by the way? They broke everything. Their whole fucking chain was broken. They had to go to ETH too.
Yeah, and similar with Solana, who fucking breaks down every 5 weeks.
Exactly.
And the concern is you have a lot of influence behind these ordinals that are trying to push for changes or developments. That means they can do whatever they want to do with their quantum bullshit. And if that starts to infect developers, because we're not developers like.
Are you speaking specifically about OpCat? Is that the thing that you have reservations?
I mean, that is a one sign. Like that is one thing. But what is the next OpCat? And what is the next thing after that?
I think it's tough because I see people that are pro OpCat who I greatly respect.
Andrew Polstra.
And Andrew Polstra, Ben Carman was telling me he was more warm to it the other day. And it's just like, I don't know what to make of that because I'm too retarded to know what they're talking about. Know?
I think in terms of that, have you ever heard that fuck yeah or no?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it's not a fuck yeah, it's a no.
Yeah. If it's not a fuck yeah, it's a no. So like if you're a super busy person and people want meetings of you all the time, it's like, if it's not a fuck yeah, it's a no.
Yeah.
And so if there isn't like a lot of fuck yeahs across everyone I like, it's a bit like minor signaling, right? Gets to 90%. If the social consensus isn't high, I'm like not keen. If I see, okay, Ben Carman's interested and Andrew Polstra, I like those both. But if I haven't seen also Adam Back and Luke Dasher and Peter Willer and Gregory Maxwell all agreeing, I'm like, well, it's a no.
Yeah.
Because Bitcoin today does everything I need it to do. I'd like it to do it a bit faster. I'd like it to do it more securely, right? But it does everything I need. So like, why fuck with this?
Yeah.
Because what are the principles of Bitcoin that make it sound money? 21 million.
Right.
Known issuance rate.
21 million is the big one.
Yeah. I mean, everything derives from that. So what are we adding these new things for? We already know it's fixing problems as it is.
Yeah.
We already know it can fix more problems as it is.
Well, there's always this idea that like, Bitcoin has no killer app or something, right? And it's like the killer app is prosperity. You invest your life's energy into Bitcoin and it quadruples on you. That's the only fucking thing anybody ever wants, right? Killer app. Like, yeah, okay, you have a cat picture on the blockchain. Who gives a fuck? The killer app is monetary maximalism,
I mean, we were just out in I'm a broken record when we travel because I end up repeating every episode. But what we saw. We're in Malawi, right? They had a 44% currency devaluation just before we arrived. So basically, everything got more expensive for them. And so we met people that are like, we can't afford fertilizer now. So there's food shortages. Like, I think is it maize is the staple crop?
Yeah, and tea.
Yeah. And the tea will be fine because that will be owned by the government or the corporations who will be selling it out to us.
Right.
That will probably suit them. But, for people who are just trying
Not the farmers who work on it, though.
Well, they'll get paid less. But they got fucked, right? Like, the mission to give them better money for me, is infinitely more important than a fucking quantum cat.
How do you deal with the fact that, they're not going to be able to have UTXOs?
You think about that a lot.
Yeah.
I think about that a lot. And I'm...
Because if that's mission number one, where do we go from there?
So I've got two kind of like thoughts on it. The first one is I'm not technical enough to understand covenants.
Yeah.
But my understanding is there's some potential with covenants.
Yes.
And then outside of that, I think people are going to have essentially Bitcoin banks, whereby there is counterparty risk.
Okay, so if there are
at least they get benefit from the 21 million.
Yeah, if there are Bitcoin banks, though, then does it matter if people who are rich want to do ordinals? When people who are poor can use, global neobanks?
They're not interacting with the base chain anyway.
Right. That's my point.
Well, but those some will, and some banks will, and like I think we're just going to have a range of different access points with a range of different, like from self custody to custodial. I think there's just going to be a range.
Yeah.
But can we still fuck up the base chain? Can we still fuck up the money? Is there something we can do that can affect it as money?
Right.
Short, medium, long term. And it's just, I'm whilst I probably sound really anti-ordinal, I just think it's nonsense. We fought for years about that bullshit and trying to get people away from it. It's like the mechanic said in his interview with Preston. He said, people used to phone you up and say, "Oh, I lost money on Bitcoin." It's like, "What did you buy?" It's like, "Yeah, I bought Bitcoin Cash or Dogecoin." It's like, no, that's not Bitcoin. But now people are going to lose money on Bitcoin.
From gambling. So really the moral conversation that we're having is like, are you anti-gambling, which is funny because we're in Las Vegas. Are you anti-gambling or are you pro-gambling? Are you at least okay with gambling?
No, I'm perfectly fine with gambling. I love gambling.
Right.
What I don't want is I don't want the scarce block space wasted with bullshit because I think it's a waste. I also think it gives us a skewed perspective on demand for block space right now. And
sure, yeah.
What I fear is a pollution of the developer ecosystem that leads to bad things.
But I think there's a harsh reality to it that even with covenants, the vast majority of the world at some point will never be able to interact with the base chain.
That is the harsh reality.
Yeah, but that's a separate point. We're talking about can they, how do people use Bitcoin?
No, but I mean, if your moral framework is, these people are being crowded out by people who just want to do graffiti on chain, then it is like a big consideration point that they might never be able to use. Maybe that's the aberration, that poor people were able to use the main chain.
Well, they were.
And it just goes away at a certain point.
Yeah, and everything's on like this timeline, right?
Yeah.
Like there's time when, anyone could use the base chain, and then it changes over time. But there was a sudden shock. And I was like, well, yeah, we always knew that. Well, we always knew that. Why was everyone saying, not your keys, not your Bitcoin? Like, why weren't the messages different?
Let me ask you a question. Why was the supply issuance curve so fast? I think it's the same reason. It's to create the defensibility of like the core cohort, core culture, right?
Yeah, fair.
And so, there's like probably 11 or 12 million Bitcoin that are like in self-custody, that are being held by OG hodlers, right? And I think that Satoshi wanted the supply issuance to be fast for a couple of reasons. One, so he could get out ahead of government. Two, so he could incentivize the early adopters. And three, because he knew the early adopters, maybe this is conferring too much like prescience on him, but I think he knew the early adopters would blow it and spread the Bitcoin around, right? And so to me, I think, that basically like it's more important to have this core cohort of people who are defending and protecting Bitcoin than it is for people to use Bitcoin for coffee payments, because there are other ways for people to do Bitcoin coffee payments, like the Lightning Network or, like a Bitcoin bank, or you can do it off chain.
But it's more than just coffee payments. And again, it scales.
Yeah, no, I know. I understand.
You know, in Malawi, you could earn $100 a year.
Yes.
You know, and
you're right. I'm trivializing it by saying coffee payments. Like people are storing their life energy, and some of them they don't have enough money to keep up with the fees, which is totally fair.
And haven't been given the education that this will go away, or they haven't been given the tools, and so essentially we're kind of live beta testing on anyone who's willing to become part of it. But there's collateral damage, and some of that's just a shame.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah. But for every person that had their $300 stored in Bitcoin, there's probably somebody who escaped currency devaluation in Argentina 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Or Venezuela, right? Like, so there are it's a really ruthless test on all of us how we interact with the Bitcoin blockchain, and it doesn't matter if Bitcoin is a dumb network enforced by code. So it's not thinking and feeling about who you are and how you want to use the chain.
Yeah. And
we've all made a lot of mistakes in trying to figure this thing out.
What do you think we're defending and protecting then?
I think we're defending and protecting
against.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're defending and protecting against co-option of Bitcoin, right? And I'm worried about Wall Street co-option of Bitcoin, and I'm worried about government co-option of Bitcoin. I'm worried about ghettoization of Bitcoin. I'm worried.
What do you mean by that?
So ghettoization would be, Bitcoin exists as digital gold, and it's entirely within the walled garden that is TradFi, and it doesn't really move on chain. It's just kind of there. It moves enough to secure the network, but it doesn't move enough to do all of the wonderful things we think Bitcoin is capable of, and it never becomes global money. Because one of the problems with Bitcoin is that, Bitcoin as money is that, we all talk about these things, these technical reasons for why there's not a medium. Bitcoin is not used as medium of exchange. But the main reason Bitcoin's not used as medium of exchange is because the laws do not allow it. If I want to use Bitcoin as medium of exchange, I have to file taxes and pay capital gains on it. That's very cumbersome, right? And it really slows down my ability.
But the rules, we expect they'll adapt for that. They have in certain places.
No, we don't. I don't expect them to adapt. I think anybody who's saying that is incorrect.
I mean,
where do you expect in America where it matters?
Well, Cynthia Lummis has put forward a proposed bill where it's transactions.
It's a de minimis, it's a de minimis, thing, so that people who are doing a little bit of trivial nothing don't have to file taxes with the IRS.
Yeah,
but it doesn't change the structure of you. If I want to send you 10 grand, I still have to file that, right? And if I don't, then they can put me in prison.
Yeah, and some of these conversations will be very different offline than online. I don't mind confessing this, because if they come and catch me, I'll deal with it. But I've never declared any Lightning payment as part of a tax return, and I have declared any Bitcoin sale or trade historically as on my taxes. I just don't.
Probably it's
Lightning.
so de minimis that they're not going to care, right? Would you spend a couple $100 a year?
Maybe a bit, maybe even a bit more.
Yeah.
But I just don't bother with it because it's not worth my time. It's you have to really make me want to do that. You're asking for my money, I'm giving you what I think is a fair amount. Come at me for that bit.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying that there is a global cabal that has all of the guns, and they make all of the laws, right? There is no such thing as a gun-free society. Every society has guns. It's just a question of who holds the guns. And in America, we came to the very base conclusion, you're welcome, that we should all have the guns. And so America's a very dangerous place, but free and beautiful. And so to me, it's none of us are in the club of what gets set as currency, because that club sets what is money, okay? And we're not going to get in that club until we're way fucking richer. And then we might have access to that club, and then maybe we can start, making some alterations. So to me, it's we have to bide our time until we can get to that point.
Hold on, there's a certain price where the majority of that club is Bitcoiners. Somebody put that out.
I've not seen that.
The majority of the club is Bitcoiners. It's a certain I don't know what it is, $200,000 or whatever.
I saw somebody say it was only 1 million. There's only 1 million people with 1 Bitcoin in the world, which sounds right to me, because certainly many people have thousands of Bitcoin. So yeah, that sounds right. And it's that million people is a very exclusive club, because there's something like 42 million millionaires in the world or something, right? So it's 50x more scarce to be a whole coiner than it is to be a millionaire in the world today.
Yeah.
Well,
but
we're going to get some seats at the table of power eventually. And that's one of the things to use your Bitcoin wealth for.
Well, look, Larry Fink has a seat at the table.
Yes, he does.
Okay.
But he's not a Bitcoiner. I
think he is.
You think so?
I
He talked a lot about tokenization of assets,
I know.
a little too much for my taste.
Yeah, and I'm not keen on it. But
Do you know about RWAs? That's what they've rebranded real world assets to. RWAs. Yeah.
Well, look, there's comes a point where Saylor's got a seat at the table. He's getting close. He's certainly got a seat at the table with people who have a seat at the table.
That's true.
And that's growing. Dorsey probably doesn't want a seat at the table and kind of has it.
Yeah.
Druckenmiller has a seat. There are people, and it's growing.
Sure. Yeah. I think the thing that we bring to the table as Bitcoiners is
memes.
Memes for sure. But this idea that we are bringing a fair, distributed network of machines that do the verification for us, and we're taking humans out of the mix. And, if we're going to have a seat at the table of power and have like a negotiation with the other elites, the conversation from our end is like, we want that everywhere. We want that as much as possible. We just want the rule set to be fair. We don't want people to be able to change the rule set. And basically everybody else at the table is going to be like, fuck you, kill this guy, That's going to be the problem.
So there was somebody put it up yesterday that Wall Street has already accumulated, is it 2% of the Bitcoin?
It must be higher than that in the ETF.
It's got to be higher.
No, I think it's about 2% because
because GBTC had like 600,000. So
they did, and now it's like dropping precipitously.
But a lot of that's been picked up by BlackRock. Like they have over 200,000.
It's just getting distributed between BlackRock.
Between them all, they'll be way over 2%.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe 3-4%. Is that already concerning, or is it the trajectory that they might?
I think the trajectory is concerning. Yeah.
So if the trajectory is concerning, we don't need to say which percentage is now the concern because it's the trajectory.
It's the speed of growth that's concerning. Yeah.
So like, what do we do about that? Like, what are our responsibilities?
I haven't come up with anything good. Do you?
Well, no. So you know what I did? I noted down where I thought the different spheres of influence are.
Yeah.
Like of important influence, and I put it down that the 5 people have access keys to the core repo. Mm-hmm. They have a lot of influence.
They do.
Yeah.
They try and stay neutral, though.
Of course. But in the end, they can make big, important decisions.
That's true.
Right?
They have, yeah.
And then you have people of technical influence. People I've already mentioned, Luke, Peter Willey, Adam, Chain Code have influence, Blink, Shinobi. But then you've got people of business influence, like whether it's a Brian Armstrong, you've got institutional influence, Saylor, Larry Fink, you've got media influence, like anyone has a podcast or Bitcoin Mag.
Yeah, you put yourself on your own list. Yeah, I get it.
Well, I said it.
I'm just kidding.
But I'm saying, like, we can certainly decide which shows to host, right? Which people to host.
Yes, no, it's important.
That's a decision. But there's all kind of different incentives there. Like Saylor's talking about ossification, and he's not funding development.
Right.
So that's where you can see where his incentives are. Bitcoin Mag have become very pro-ordinal, so you can see some incentives there with the investment work I'm doing. And this is no criticism of anyone. I'm just identifying it. I've just put my stake in the ground. Yep. I know where Stefan and Marty's stakes in the ground are. We know where there's lots. These are all misaligned incentives. Already.
And we also have a lot of people with cultural power in Bitcoin who maybe they don't have raw power or technical power or media power, but they are like a cultural force, right?
Yeah,
they create the .hodl.
Yes. No, it's like, the really like Bitcoin is a bunch of Bitcoin culture, especially on Twitter and podcasts and elsewhere, is like it is a culture of culture warriors, and it's the biggest culture, it's the most important culture war on earth, in my opinion, right? So like when you play in Bitcoin, when you play the Game of Thrones, Peter McCormick, you win or you die. It's very important what happens in Bitcoin. So that's why everybody is so passionate about it, obviously.
Yeah, there's like this. Whilst we have the Bitcoin protocol, we have like I was trying to articulate with Danny. There's like a protocol of people.
Yes.
And in a
the blockchain of humanity.
Yeah. I love that. But in that, what you have is like you have this decentralized protocol that we're all dealing with a decentralized set of viewpoints on what it should be, where it should go, and that was quite easy to kind of probably heard when it was Satoshi and Eric Voorhees all on on the mailing list. But as time goes on, then this is spread out to the libertarians, and then to the economists, and then to the politicians, and then culturally, it's just becoming a bigger problem.
Yeah.
And so,
well, it's a feature though. It's a feature that it's grinding to a halt. That is a feature. Because if we miss something, we can double back on it. But we can't undo a mistake. That's one of the things we're learning in Bitcoin culture too. Like in terms of upgrades, it is extremely hard to undo what is a mistake or perceived as a mistake, right?
Yeah, I mean the apparently the Taproot hack could be patched, but there isn't an appetite to patch it.
We should rephrase that. It's not a hack. You said the Taproot hack.
The Taproot functionality that allows ordinals is what you're trying to say.
Well, so like a life hack. Think of life hack.
Life hack.
Well, no, but it's essentially like it's not a hack as in like a like hacking your private keys.
Yes,
it's like a life hack.
Yes. Okay.
That kind of hack. It's like
I get it.
Like they found a way to get arbitrary data into the blockchain in a way that wasn't
more efficiently. Yeah.
That wasn't envisioned or part of the development.
More
plan.
efficient. I got it. Totally.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so it's a hack.
Well, the problem is upgrades are. I've conceptualized the Bitcoin upgrades as like. Remember when the mothership opens in Independence Day to like blow up the White House or whatever,
Yeah.
And the moment it opens is the moment it's most vulnerable to attack. I think Bitcoin upgrades are like that. Like when the mothership opens, it's most vulnerable to attack, right? And so I sort of think of like, the people that want to ossify is like, we should never open it, right? And then I think, I fall somewhere in the middle. There are people who want to open it every day. And then I'm in the middle somewhere where it's like, we should open it when appropriate, but not any other time.
I don't care.
Because it's dangerous.
Yeah, I don't care if the next upgrade takes 10 years.
I don't care if it takes 20 years.
30 years.
40. No.
I'll be dead then.
No, you'll still be here.
40 years.
Will you be like
85?
Yeah, you'll be around.
I'm not sure about that. I mean, I'll take it.
No, but I mean, think about it. If we don't let in, an upgrade, whatever, in the next 5 years, and we decide in, an additional 5 years' time that was a mistake, we can double back and do it. It's not that big a deal. Whereas if we let in the wrong upgrade, it's a problem going forward.
So do you just think just messy social
I like
consensus?
I like rough, murky consensus. Yeah, I'm in favor of the chaos. By the way, again, this is an American trait. Like I like the chaos of democracy. It is a scrum, and you got to just get in the scrum and be a player in the game. Like that's the only thing to do, And it's going to be chaotic and messy and crazy, and like you're not always going to get what you want. It's going to suck a lot of the time. That's democracy.
That's fair.
Yeah.
All right.
We don't have a monarch. By the way, what'd you do with Kate Middleton, man? Where is she?
She turned up again today.
Did she?
Yeah. And now people are saying it wasn't really her.
Well, actually,
she's wearing a skin suit?
Did you see that thing on Twitter where the guy sent his AI bot to a job interview online?
I saw that today.
Oh, I did see that.
Holy shit.
I did see that.
The only thing is, do you notice the flicker every time it goes to answer a question?
Oh, no, I didn't.
It's almost like it heard the question, generated the file, and flicks to...
Oh, that's
But
fun.
there's a slight flicker.
But it's good.
Well, that fucks up video approvals with any self-custody.
Video approval self-custody stuff is just garbage.
Yeah.
Straight garbage.
Done.
One of the things that's interesting is we're all early to dealing with private keys and public private key cryptography. Blech, I can't talk. But like the rest of the world is going to have to update and get on board with that because that will be the only way you're able to do things in the future. Like you will have to have the equivalent of a tap signer to prove you are a real human or whatever, right? And then, of course, the government is going to want that to be your fucking social credit score card and whatever, of course. Like,
all right, there is one other thing I want to tap into with you. You talked about people thinking they're too late on Twitter recently.
Oh, yeah.
The ego behind that.
Yeah. So when you first came to Bitcoin, didn't you think you were too late?
I've said this over and over. Every single time I've ever bought Bitcoin, I thought it's expensive.
100%.
When it was £80, I was like, what the fuck? £80 for this digital thing? Came back in 2016, it was £600. I was like, fuck, it's so expensive. And there's never been a time I thought, oh, that was cheap. Every time.
I totally agree with you, apart from there was one day, March 2020, that's the day where I was like, fuck, this is cheap.
It's cheap today. Yeah. When it went to 3,800.
Yeah.
Well, that loan I took, I knew how to get, but I didn't feel like it was cheap.
No.
I still think, fucking hell, 17.5 grand.
Yeah.
Like, it feels expensive all the time, which I think is a good thing.
I made my first buys at like 220, right? And when we're looking back on $220 Bitcoin, it's like, holy shit, it was basically free Bitcoin. They were just giving it away. But at the time, it was so expensive in my mind. And I kept thinking about there were all these stories you were hearing about the guys who had got it at a quarter and a nickel, or they mined it for free on their laptop. And I was comparing myself to those guys, right? And so I think when a lot of people are having conversations today and, they're talking about Bitcoin, I hear this all the time from like normie friends or whatever, neighbors, friends, they basically go, man, good for you, man. I missed it though, dude. I missed it, and I'm like, you didn't miss it, man. You didn't miss it. I mean,
do you know the answer to that question? Because I got a text yesterday from somebody saying, "Oh, I think I'm too late to buy some more." I always just reply, "Well, I'm not selling."
Yeah.
So what do you think I think?
Well, or people want the most annoying one is people want to know the next Bitcoin. What's the next Bitcoin, dude? Like, dude, it's Bitcoin. Thanks. I fucking hate that question. My God. But no, I mean, the answer I say is just, hey, listen, it was really expensive for me also. I felt like $200 Bitcoin was expensive. And like, I know that's a mind fuck when you hear that today, but eventually, here's the framework to think about. When the price moves $200 today, I don't notice it. It probably moved $200 100 times while we were having this conversation. I didn't notice or care. It doesn't mean anything to me. And eventually, one of these days, the price will move $65,000 and you literally won't notice or care. And I know that sounds stupid, but that is going to happen, because are you really going to notice a difference between 2.62 million versus 2.68 million in your account? No, you're going to look at it and you're going to go, still 2.6, still doing good. You're not going to really care about the 60 grand. So like the 60 grand, believe it or not, is de minimis. It's a rounding error, even though it's the price of a really pretty nice car. And you have to just check yourself and say, okay, do I believe in Bitcoin's story going forward? Bitcoin does this thing. There's this other video I put out on Twitter recently where I'm like screaming over a Cash App chart, and people seem to like that one. But what I've noticed here is that like we get really concerned about price tops and lows, right? But if you take this broader view, Bitcoin moves in order of magnitude each epoch. So every epoch it moves up in order of magnitude. When me and you came in, it was in the hundreds of dollar range, and then it was in the thousands of dollar range post 2017 bubble. And yeah, it went briefly to 10, 20, whatever, but it came back down. It was stayed mainly in the thousands of dollar range. Then, we're now in the tens of thousands of dollar range. It's been here for 3 years. We're all anticipating it going into the hundreds of thousands of dollar range. And then it's going to blip to $1 million. I'm going to win my bet against you. Fuck you, by the way. And then it's going back into the hundreds of thousands of dollar range, and it's going to stay there for the rest of the epoch. Then it will move into the 7-figure range, then the 8-figure range, right? So if you believe in Bitcoin's story, that you still, right now, as the time of this recording, it's 65,000 or whatever. If you believe that there is a $100,000 epoch coming, $1 million and an 8 million, tens of millions, then you have 3 orders of magnitude to go from here. That's a shitload. Yeah, you missed out on half the move, but you still have the back half of the move. And there's a lot of percentage gains to go. So like, if Bitcoin goes to 10 million, a person with 10 million sats is a millionaire. That's fucking mind blowing, right?
Well, it's the thing that people thinking about entry and exit price and not realizing that this goes up forever.
And also there's no exit price, Like, yeah, you might spend a little Bitcoin or sell a little Bitcoin to like fund your lifestyle or whatever, but you're going to be largely in Bitcoin. Why would you sell the thing that's making you rich?
Well,
it's the dumbest thing you could do.
We had James Lavish on with Eric Yates beforehand, and he's just saying the problem is people are thinking of it as an investment.
Yeah,
but it's not.
It's savings.
Yeah, savings, and not to sound like a cringe dickhead, but it's kind of a way of life.
It's a lifestyle for sure. Yeah.
But those same questions are coming in, and I'm always thinking about how to reframe it, because like, right, I tried this in 2017 and you didn't listen, and then in 2021 you didn't listen. So now I'm just saying you just need to learn it, understand why it matters, get in, and realize you stay in forever.
I think one of the hard things too is like I have much more effect on internet strangers than I do on my real life friends and family, So like random people will message me and be like, dude, you fucking inspired me, and I got the Bitcoin, I got to my goal, and it's like so great, and like I just want to thank you, dude, and like whatever. And then in real life I have these conversations where it's like, you never told me about Bitcoin. And I'm like, I certainly did. I certainly fucking did, God.
Right. Do we need to, before we close out, how are we doing for time?
Are we good? But you wanted to clarify the bet, right?
Yeah, you want to clarify the bet.
Let's talk about our $1 million bet.
Right. So as I remember it, and I think it's recorded.
When you lose that bet, you're going to owe me $1 million.
Well, in fairness,
$1 million.
If I lose that bet, I'm going to be returning you your $1 million.
That's true. Because you do have one coin of mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
even though I did recently win a coin off your sponsor.
Did you get that?
I did.
Nice.
But if I win, I'm going to have taken $2 million off you.
That's true.
So
you're going to have to, we got to go party or something at that point. You know?
I mean, look, either way, it's a bet I'm happy to lose.
Yeah.
Like, I don't feel like I've lost when I've lost that bet. Like, life's okay. So as I remember, the bet was Bitcoin has to hit at some point between now and the end of 2027, $1 million
Yes.
on Coinbase.
Was it 2027? I thought it was 2020.
No, so it's by 2027.
Oh, is it?
So I have until January 1st, 2028. That's the original bet.
You have till midnight 2027.
Yes, until December 31st when the ball drops in New York.
Yeah.
We clarified this on the original
and
episode.
so interestingly, originally when you did, I was like, you got fucking no chance. There's another easy Bitcoin. Now I can see it happening. I'm not certain it's happening, but I can see it happening.
Would you still take the bet today?
Yeah, I would, because even though I don't hedge bets, right?
Yeah.
I'm not a pussy like Mike Green.
By the way, that was a terrible bet. It's a terrible bet you made.
No,
with Mike
I love
Green.
it. It's a great bet.
It's a good bet for vibes, you know?
Yeah, no. I'm the reason I took the bet with him was to just prove he's a dick.
Yes.
He wants to prove.
You seem like you were probably a little drunk when you took that bet too.
No, I do a lot of things on the whim. I got a 5-year lawsuit on a whim. I started a podcast on a whim. I just live on a whim. You know me. So I think if it doesn't happen by the end of 2025, it doesn't happen until 2028.
Probably.
Yeah.
Unless, though, I was thinking about this the other day, these flows on the ETF are fucking unstoppable.
I know.
They're insane. And so we might be at the bottom. You know, we've been at the bottom of this S curve for a long time now. And we really have always thought we're going up it, but we never have gone up it. This might be the time when we finally just straight up the S curve, right?
Yeah.
Like we do what Samson Mao is predicting. We just go straight to $1 million and stay there.
Yeah.
That could happen too.
But we've been historically bullish times and been proved wrong. Like the last bet I won off you was 300K.
Yeah.
And we hit 69. Like we were long. I mean, I wouldn't have taken that bet at 100K. I might not have taken it at 200, but I definitely took it at 300, right? Yeah. So I was ultra bullish. We sometimes get crazy bullish.
You won the bet about Trump too.
Yes, I did.
But knowing what I know now, that was a rigged election. I mean, just straight up.
I mean, if I'd lost the bet, I would be salty as well.
Well, you know, I mean, the FBI and the Biden administration colluded to suspend First Amendment rights. I know you guys don't have First Amendment rights, so it's okay. You know, you're not used to it.
You lost the bet. We don't need to revisit it. Like, go and get your half Bitcoin back on Biden. No, so
I am going to get my half Bitcoin back.
I think there's a scenario where it can happen this year, but I don't think it does. I think if it happens next year.
This year is probably unlikely in my mind too.
We've actually we've sucked the cycle forward a bit, but we haven't got retail fully in yet, and so I think this year realistically, like if I had to pin a price, like 250 to 350 is like a top.
The end of this year, you think?
Sometime this year would be a top this year.
Sure, I could see that happening.
But if you follow previous cycle theories, then we go up. You know, magnitude's higher next year, and we could hit $1 million. Yeah,
we could also. I mean, listen.
I don't think the super cycle theory plays out.
None of these fucking whether it's power law or stock to flow or whatever it is. None of them model demand, and these ETF flows are insane demand. It's crazy the demand, and it's constant. The pressure is just absolutely constant, and we haven't even really seen that much buying yet.
But we also will have to deal with rebalancing. We will also have to deal with people, who hold a large amount of Bitcoin. If it's flying up to hundreds of thousands, there might be a lot of selling into that as well. And so,
I don't see yet. I'm starting to think that my base. All right, I have two cases for me winning the bet. One is it goes just straight up the S curve and stays there. Yeah, and then it's kind of stagnant for a while. Like years, right? The other one is it's just a steady march, like just all the way there.
Like every cycle you add a zero.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't even think it's a cycle thing. I think it's literally like we go up 200K or like let's say we go up an additional like 100K this year, 250K next year, 400K the year after that. You know what I mean? And then we're there.
It depends how consistent these ETF inflows stay.
They're very, very consistent right now,
Of course,
and it's a shitload of money.
But eventually, you could run out of buyers or slow down.
Yeah,
and then
totally. The other thing people aren't saying is the ETFs are not like MicroStrategy, so the flows go both ways.
Yeah.
So there is going to be a lot. Their job is to stay neutral with spot price. So there's going to be a lot of selling when things get bearish, and people start panicking and dumping their positions. Right.
Look, it's a great bet. Would I take it? I certainly wouldn't double or quits the bet.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't take the bet again, but I'm still happy I'm in the bet.
I don't think I would double it either. I think we're still in that zone of just like it could go either way.
It's a more interesting bet now than when you made it.
Oh, yeah. Way more interesting. Yeah.
No, because I know you thought you were just like taking money off me when we made the bet.
Well,
but I felt very confident in my bullishness, and as I always do.
The problem is like, I've taken so much money off you, I just started to get a bit overconfident. No, listen, look, I think it's a great bet, and it could easily be one I lose, and I will bring that Bitcoin in person, and we will hang out. But it's easily one you could lose it, and we topped out at 300K. You're like, oh, it's a fucking bullish idiot. Like, totally. No, this is a great thing. No one really knows what's going to happen.
Well, and also, like, listen, if we go to 500, 300, 500K, whatever, and then I don't win the bet, like, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all right. It's all right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's funny. It's like, I really don't trust these Wall Street guys, but I need them for my bet.
Yeah, it's true. The Wall Street thing is, I mean, how can you trust them? They're untrustworthy, right? And they want to financialize the fuck out of Bitcoin, and they're doing it.
Yeah, they're gonna do it, but it is what it is. Anything else you want to cover?
No.
Looking forward to Bedford.
Bedford's gonna be fun. I'm excited. Yeah. In general, I don't like to leave America. Everywhere else it just sucks,
You've not been.
We don't even have freedom of speech.
We do in my house.
Listen, do you know how dope it is to be here in the greatest country in the land? Okay, and I can just say whatever the fuck I want.
I mean, I come here every 6 weeks, so I know.
Yeah,
I like
it's the best.
But look, I'm very glad you're coming. Yeah. I'm really grateful. I'm grateful to everyone who's come in.
The other thing too, by the way, I don't know if Europeans fully appreciate this, but America is so goddamn large that we don't really, I can go to Florida and I'm basically in the tropics, and then I can go to Montana and I'm in like the equivalent of Scotland for you guys. You know what I mean? And it's just like,
yeah, but part of travel is culture. Culture.
Montana and Florida, very different cultures.
Listen, I'm glad you're coming. I'm going to take you around Bedford.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
I think from that trip and other people come in, they will understand what I'm trying to do. And I'm like, it's surreal as fuck that all these people I love and adore are coming. But I really appreciate it, and thank you for doing the keynote. It was like,
yeah, of course, man.
It was Danny, was it your suggestion?
Yeah, it was my idea.
Yeah, and it was like, yes, it was like a fuck yes.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, it's a fuck.
Now I just got to get a passport because I don't have one.
Please,
you need to apply for that quick. We've seen like 3 weeks.
Have you really?
I will.
Like, you have to do that today.
No, I bought like an expedited thing.
Oh, so you're on it.
Yeah.
All right. Good to see you, man.
All right, man.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Of course.
Peace out.
This room is so baller, y'all. It's crazy. I'm going to eat Pete's hors d'oeuvres.